A lot of people are afraid to install Linux because of how difficult they think it is to do. So what we're going to do today is look at just how dead simple it is to get a system up and running. So if you're new around here, remember to subscribe and ding the little bell icon down below because we are one away from 50 right now. At least as of the recording of this video, we might have passed that by now. And my next goal after that is hitting 100, and hopefully I can do that by the end of the year. So now that that's out of the way, let's get started. Good morning everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So what we're going to be doing today is installing a version of Ubuntu in a virtual machine. So the reason we're using a virtual machine is because I don't have another system to test this on, and that would be a mess to set up if I was to do it some other way. And also, whenever you're first installing something like a new operating system, whether that be macOS, whether that be Windows, or a version of Linux, I would always recommend doing it in a virtual machine just so you know that you're not doing anything really dumb. And the reason that we're using Ubuntu as opposed to Manjaro or Mint or anything else, there's no reason for that. I just picked Ubuntu because it's the first thing that came to my mind. So if you want to use something else and follow along with this video, go ahead. I don't know, if you want to do something simple that's Arch-based, I would recommend Manjaro, so maybe pick that one up. So what we're going to be doing today, if I switch over my webcam, go to my web browser. So we go to the Ubuntu desktop, then the first link should be a download link. Cool. So if we come in here, and with Ubuntu you've got the option of using the LTS version, which is the long-term service release, which will be supported for years and years, and then the current version of Ubuntu, which will get updated, once a year, something like that? I don't actually know how often Ubuntu gets updated. 9 months, apparently. We'll just use the LTS version because it doesn't really matter for this video. Is it going to start? Yes, cool. Oh, it's going to take a while to download, so I will cut back to when this is done. So now that's downloaded, you probably should check the SHA hash, but I don't really care, so we're just going to skip that step. So at this point, there's two different things that you can do. So if you want to continue along installing it in a VM, then I'm going to show you how to set up the VirtualBox. But if you want to install on actual hardware, then you're going to have to create a bootable Ubuntu USB. I'll leave a link in the description down below about how to do that on Windows and macOS, and I guess also Linux if you want to switch over from whatever else you're on to Ubuntu. But the steps are basically the same for every single operating system, so whatever video I put in the description, it should work. So also you don't have to use VirtualBox to do this. If you want to use some other VM program, then go right ahead. So I'll just set this up with VirtualBox because that's what I know. So we'll just call this Ubuntu. It can be in there. So, yep, cool, that's all good. And we can assign some memory to it. I guess we can just assign it, what are we going to assign it to? 4 gigs? What is 4 gigs? That's 4096? Yeah. So, do not create a... Okay, so we want to create a virtual hard disk now because we don't have one that we've already got set up. Just leave it as the default. Leave that as the default. It should be dynamically allocated. And how much storage do we want to give it? I guess 10 gigs is fine. Obviously, if you're going to use this as an actual system, you're going to want to give it significantly more than that, but we're just going to delete this after it's done, so I don't really care. Cool, so now that's actually created. So what we want to do now is we want to go into the settings, and let's see, is there anything in here we need to change? No. We want to change this. We want doesn't really matter because we don't have a floppy drive in, but we'll just disable that and put the optical disc at the top just so we can be absolutely certain what we're going to be booting from. And then under storage, what we're going to do is with this controller ID here, we're going to add a new optical drive. So if we choose a disk, and if you don't have the Ubuntu disk already listed here, then it'll bring up a prompt to actually go find that. Wherever you've downloaded that to, just find it and then add it to this list. I've already tried this once before, so it's already in my list, so that's not a problem for me. So if we choose that, now we've got it attached. So at this point, what you're going to want to do is if you were running a VM, this is where we're going to start up the VM, but if you're actually installing this on hardware, what you're going to do is you're going to take your bootable USB, you're going to plug it into your system, you're going to open up your BIOS or UEFI menu and change your device boot order so that you boot off the bootable USB. So if you're not sure how to do that, I'll have another video in the description down below how to do that. It's fairly simple, and if you've ever installed an operating system before, then you've probably had to do that if you've done it from a USB. So I'm going to start up the VM now, and it's going to take a while to load, so I'll cut ahead to when it's actually done because my camera is going to lag the entire way through because my laptop's a little bit slow. So yeah, basically that's why it's going to cut ahead. So if you see anything weird happen during this, don't worry about it. It should load up. So a nice thing about Ubuntu that I don't know if any other distros do is you can actually just run it straight from the USB. So if you do want to try it out with actually making any changes to your system, you can just click try Ubuntu and it'll work perfectly. So what we're going to do though is we're going to install it. So if we just click this install button, then it will take a little bit to load because as I said, my system's not too quick. And I think we should probably move this webcam. That's a bit aside. So yeah, that language is fine. I guess I could change it to Australian, but I don't really care. So you can do the normal installation or the minimal installation. I guess we'll just do the normal. Download updates while installing Ubuntu, sure. Install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi hardware, sure. If you need some of this stuff or you don't need some of this stuff, then just Google exactly what is included in these packages, because I'm not actually entirely sure. So if we erase the disk and install Ubuntu, this won't do any damage to our actual system because we are running in a VM. So you can perfectly fine just click that. Or if you want to, I guess you can set up your own partitions if you want to with Ubuntu. That's also nice. But we're just going to leave it as is, and that will just wipe our empty VM hard drive. So now we install that and we'll see. If you continue the changes below, yep, okay, that's fine. I was about to say that we'll see that this finishes installing, but we actually have a couple more steps to do, so we just select our location. I'm in Adelaide, that's fine. So my name, we'll just put... Don't actually set a password this terrible, but I don't actually care. I think I misspelled it anyway. Cool. Login automatically. Requiring password and login. If you want to just log in automatically, then set it up. If you're in an area where you're the only person who's ever going to be using that system, then I guess that's perfectly fine. But if you're going to be using this with other people around, then I would probably recommend requiring a password to log in. So now we continue, and this should start the installer. So it's not going to take too long to install, I hope. I'm not actually sure how long it should take, so I guess we'll skip ahead to when that's done. Okay, so that ended up taking me like 15 or so minutes. So at this point, you're going to want to restart your computer. So, or your VM if you're using this in a VM like I am. So when you restart, you can eject the USB, and if you want, you can also change the boot order again, just so your boot drive is right at the top. And with the VM, what we're going to do is we're going to detach the ISO so it doesn't try to boot from that again. So if we go restart now, then probably better just to instantly shut it down. And then we go into my settings, then we go into storage, come into here, remove attachment. If we had just rebooted the VM, it probably would have tried to boot from the ISO again. We just don't want that to happen just in case it messes with our installation, like it has for me once before. So now we start that up again, and if you're running this on actual hardware, you would just start your computer up again, and hopefully it should all work. It looks like it's working right now. Okay, so if you got a black screen for a while, don't worry about that because I got the exact same thing. I was thinking that I might have just killed my VM with that reboot, but that's not the case. It works just fine. Just give it a bit of time. It might be quicker or slower depending on how fast your system is. So here we go. We've installed Ubuntu now. So this actually ended up being one of my shortest videos in a while, and that's how simple installing Ubuntu is. And it's similar with a lot of the other user-friendly distros. It's dead simple to start using Linux if you really want to. So now if you have this on a VM, you can start playing around with it, or if you've got it on physical hardware, then go right ahead and just do whatever you want with it. So I decided to do this video just to show people how insanely simple this is to do, because there's always going to be those rumors about how difficult installing Linux is and just how hard it is to actually get started using it. But in reality, as long as you're not using something like Arch or Gentoo, obviously, if you just want to use one of the user-friendly distros like Ubuntu, Debian, Manjaro, anything like that, then it's actually incredibly easy to do. It's probably even easier than installing something like Windows. So, if you like this video, remember to smash that like button and leave me a comment down below letting me know what you think. One day, I will do an Arch installation video, but I don't know when. I'm probably going to make it some sort of subscriber goal because I don't want to really go through that again because it's easy, but it's really annoying if you make a mistake somewhere along the way. And maybe I'll do another video for something like Manjaro or Debian or some other distro that people are interested in. So if you want to see those videos when they come out, remember to subscribe and ding the little bell icon down below, and you'll probably get updates. But as always, YouTube can never be trusted to actually push updates to anyone, so also go follow my Twitter and my Mastodon, and you'll probably get updates there. So as of the recording of this video, we are very close to 50 subscribers, and we are very much on the way to hitting 100, which is awesome, and I would love to see that by the end of the year. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it would be awesome if we could actually do that. So I'll put a link to this playlist up on, I always forget which side it is, that side, because it's opposite for you guys. And that'll have the rest of my random Linux videos in there that you guys might be interested in seeing. So I think that's pretty much everything for me, and I'm out.